So I'm working on a chapter in my book, and I thought I'd make a quick little post about it. So my book is about generational blessings and generational curses and the things that we just kind of inherit from our parents knowingly or unknowingly, and how their experiences shape them and shape how they raise us. Um, and it's specifically about me, my mom, and my dad. So my parents are Ethiopian, and they met as refugees in Sudan, but they're both Ethiopian. And I never lived in Ethiopia. I wasn't born there. But because my parents are both Ethiopian, we grew up in America and speaking Amharic in the house. So I'm speak English perfectly, but I also speak Amharic. Anyways, I'm working on a chapter in the book, and this chapter is going back to a memory that I have when I was 8 years old. So there was a time when I was 8 years old. It was a Friday night, and my sister was getting ready to go somewhere. My sister is 8 years older than me, and she is just drop dead gorgeous, okay? Like, she would give any female celebrity a run for her money. Beyonce, like, people used to tell her she looked like Maya. People still tell her she looks like Maya. And not just her face, her body too. Like, she's a natural figure eight, the tiniest waist till this day. Just a total package. Like they say, total packages don't exist. Y'all have not met my sister. She's just drop dead gorgeous, okay? So anyways, my sister is 16 years old because she's 8 years older than me and still 8 years older than me, I was going to say at the time. Anyways, she's 8 years older than me. She's 16. She's a teenager. She's getting ready to go out. Now, I have to tell you about my mom. My mom is super strict. My mom is very conservative. She used to shelter us very extremely. She like the way we dressed, she wanted us to be very modest. She didn't want us showing off, which was not a big deal to me because I'm 8 years old, you know. But for my sister, like, and also my sister was so gorgeous that every time she left the house, she would get hit on. And it was very difficult for my mother to see that and to know that. And so my mom would often not allow her to go places except for school. So I remember playing outside with my little brother, and my sister would like be staring at us from the window like Rapunzel, okay? And she just wasn't allowed to play outside because my mom knew that if she was outside, we lived in an apartment complex at the time, and if she was outside, people were always walking by and they would stop and talk to her, and my mom just didn't want her getting this kind of attention. And so my sister is in the bathroom flat ironing her hair, and my mom is so mad about this. My mom did not buy her the flat iron. She borrowed it from a friend at school. And on top of this, my sister's about to go somewhere, which my mom did not like her going anywhere outside of school. So she's getting ready, and my mom just finally has had enough, and she gets up and she goes to the bathroom, yanks the flat iron cord out of the outlet, and just snaps the flat iron in half. And my sister is like, "Oh my God, are you crazy? That's not even my flat iron, it's my friend's, and you're gonna have to pay for this." And my mom hated when we called her crazy. Like, it sent her too crazy, okay? And so it became this big intense fight, not physical, but it became a big fight. They're yelling back and forth, they're crying, I'm crying, like, it's intense. My sister ends up walking out, leaving, and it was it like burned a core memory into my subconscious mind. Like, it was very intense. And so it wasn't until years later, until I became a mother myself, where I finally understood why my mom was so protective, why she wanted us to be so conservative and modest. And at the time, I just thought my mom is just weird, you know, and it wasn't just because she was Ethiopian, because we would see other Ethiopian families that were okay with their children dressing normally and straightening their hair and things like that and wearing makeup, but we were not allowed to. And so as an adult, I finally am asking my mom questions about herself and getting to know her. And I find out that at about like between 13 and 14 years old, she was brutally raped. And she blamed herself for this. And I'm not going to say all the details because obviously I want you to read it in my book. and also I want to keep this short, but she blamed herself for the rape. She blamed the fact that she went out. She was away from home at the time. She was visiting a family member in a different city, and she was dressing trendy and trying to keep up with the times, and she blamed herself for what had happened to her, and she carried this throughout her life, and it affected the way she raised us. And I asked her why she didn't share this with us when we were kids, and she said, I didn't want it to, I don't want my story to affect your guys' self-identity. So I just would say no without telling you why, because I was just trying to keep you and protect you and keep your innocence, in a sense. And so my mom was very aware that children kind of base themselves on who their parents are. So she didn't really tell us much about herself when we were young, because she wanted us to create our own identities. We're in a new country, we're in America, and she doesn't really know a lot about the culture, but she knows only what she's experienced in her life. And after I got older and heard the story, it gave me a lot of compassion for her and sympathy, and I understood why she raised us the way she did on such a whole nother level. And I do wish that she would have shared this with us when we were younger, because I think it would have gave us a chance to connect more and understand why she, was making the choices that she did. And now I, as a parent, I find myself explaining why I am making these choices as much as I can to my children, because I want them to understand and I want them to know that I'm speaking from experience and wisdom. Now, sometimes, those experiences and the wisdom and the trauma can negatively impact the way we raise our kids, because like I said, that was a different country and that was a different time, and it was a very unique situation. And also, when in Rome, do as the Romans. I'm not saying you have to do everything that people are doing here or wherever you are, but there should be a little bit of flexibility and allowing our children to kind of, conform to the society around them. And I say this all to say, you guys should try to get to know your parents as much as possible, because there are some great stories underneath all the things that they do and why they are the way that they are. And sometimes just learning why and assuring them that this is very unlikely to happen to you, and just reassuring them of maybe where you're going, who you're going to be with, what kinds of things you do, maybe even including them sometimes, or inviting your friends over your place, can help you build a stronger bond and build that trust with each other, so that you're not so disconnected. So yeah, that's just one of the chapters that I'm working on in my book. There's so much more to it. I go through from my mother's childhood. She was also kidnapped when she was about 9 years old for 3 years, and she was forced into basically being a child slave, like a human pet. And so she suffered through a lot of trauma in her life. And the more and more I got to know her story, the more I felt like, wow, it all makes sense now. And till this day, I'm still learning more and more about her. And the more I get to know her, the more I feel like we're healing something, not only for her, but for me. And I feel like at times I try to, I learn a lot. I love neuroscience, and I love, the law of attraction, and, frequencies and all the woo-woo stuff, and I try to take everything that I've learned and bring it back to my mom, but she's not really open or receptive to hearing that type of information. And so instead of trying to just pour all the information on her, what I do is I ask her a lot of questions, and I spend quality time with her by just getting to know her more. And in a way, I'm able to learn about myself through learning about her, because I realize, what kind of child I was, or, more about how I was raised, or the kind of decisions that she made. And I do the same thing with my father in the book. And so my father also has his own unique story. He left Ethiopia at a very young age. Him and my mom met in Sudan as refugees, but he left Ethiopia because he was basically for political reasons. He had to leave, otherwise they were going to kill him. And it's a very complicated story, but I do go into it in my book. And for his story as well. There's so many things that I've learned for him, so many miracles that happened in both of their lives, and so many things that make me just believe in just a higher divine. Um, just believe that God has a higher plan for our lives and for our families' lives. And it's been a pleasure and a joy to get to know them more and to be writing this book. And even if not a single soul reads this book, I will be okay. I will be okay because I just am finding so much healing in writing this book and just getting to know my parents more. And I truly believe that healing ourselves kind of has a trifecta effect of healing our parents too. It's almost like the more I'm healed and the more I'm chasing my passions and my desires, the more my parents can relax and say, wow, like we did it, like we've done our job. She's okay, she's safe, it's safe now, we can also relax. And hopefully maybe my children will read this book one day and they'll be able to get to know more of our family story and our origins. So I'm enjoying the process, and I hope that somebody finds value in hearing what I've learned from my parents' life stories and my own life so far. I still got a lot to go, but so far. So thank you for listening. If you've listened this far through, thank you so much. And if you leave me a comment and give me any suggestions or any ideas for what my next post should be about, or any questions that you have, especially my immigrant people, my diaspora people. I'm really writing this for us because I know it's so hard, growing up in America, trying to figure out what part of our cultures do we bring along with us, what part do we just let go, like what part is like, all right, like that's old school, we don't need to bring that into the future, especially if you're raising kids like I am. There's so many things where I'm like, is this culture, is this just my specific family, or is this, something that I should be carrying and passing down? So I'd love to unpack all of that together with you guys. Oh yeah, I also want to mention I do have a Substack that I'm building. It's under the same name, Anadra Jedaka. If you want to follow me on there, I'd really appreciate it. And thank you for listening all the way through. You have a good one. Bye.